What up, YouTube? Let me tell y'all something. It is like 4:30 in the morning on a Friday, and I'm recording the pod. Oh my gosh, this week, the first week of the new year has been awesome. And I don't know, I'm just excited. You know, this week was the 1 year anniversary of the pod. Like, big deal. The third was exactly 1 year, and I'm just happy about the consistency. And I made a commitment to myself, to this pod, and I'm doing it, and it feels amazing. And I'm just in bliss. I love doing this. It brings so much joy. And I know I love it because I will be willing to do this for free for the rest of my life. Just coming on here, talking about books. It's like a release, and it just feels so good to share. And then also to get feedback from you guys, amazing feedback. And you all are engaged and tuned in and locked in, showing up to events. And I just want to grow with you guys. This is going to be something life-changing, not just for me, but for you too. You're literally following me along this journey, and I'm excited. There's no specific destination. I let that go. Especially after this Who Gon Check Me moment that's going to come up on the episode, I completely let a specific destination go. Wherever God wants me to go, that's where I'm going to go, and there is no destination with Him. There's like destinations. In a sense, you get to one thing, and then there's going to be another thing, but there's no solid this is it moment, and I welcome that. Last year was about being uncomfortable. This year is about accepting that there's no destination. And I'm excited. I'm just excited about the process of it all, the process of life. I've definitely fell in love with the process of it all, and I'm grateful, extremely grateful, and I can't wait to see the new heights God takes me to. I'm even anticipating the no's, like, because that's just going to help build my character and show that I can deviate and still adapt. And so we're going to tap into some of that conversation today. And the episode is a little lengthy, I think, but it's going to be juicy. I'm going to definitely stay on track. Like, literally, the first half of the episode is definitely Who Gon Check Me Boo. And I have to share this because it was just so inspiring and inspirational to me. So, with no further ado, let's just get into it. We got mic is hot. Obviously, the camera is hot. And obviously, your girl is hot. Okay? Let's get this party started. I should have got me a cup of coffee when I came here. I already had one. I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning. And now it's 4:45. But we're going to get it on and popping. You feel me? All right. What up, crew? What's good? It's your girl, Sade, ready, locked in for another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast. First and foremost, how are you all feeling today? I hope you're having an amazing day. If you're just listening to this first thing in the morning, I hope your day will be amazing and you anticipate that and you make it for what it is, because you have full control on how you respond to the things that may take you out of your character. Okay? Listen, I hope your first week of the new year is going well. Mine is going well. I'm anticipating an amazing year. I was just telling YouTube about how excited I am about the process. And I say to YouTube because before I get on and record the pod, I have a little moment of video with my YouTubers. So you can go over and check out the podcast and the full video and see my my facial expressions. These videos are not edited, and I have a little one-on-one in the beginning before I record, because y'all know y'all podcast listeners can sometimes have a keen to tune out after a few minutes. So My YouTubers, they lock in and watch the whole entire episode, and we be so engaged with each other. So yeah. Anywho, let's not even wait no further ado, and let's get into the episode. Before I even get into that, please understand that we have an amazing partnership with BetterHelp.com. Y'all know I am an advocate for God and therapy. Okay? I feel like you definitely need both. And therapy, I need to get back into it because I took a break. I've been avoiding it, but something keeps coming up in my spirit, and I'm trying to subdue it, but I feel like I need to process it because I thought I processed it, but it keeps coming back up. And so I need to go back into therapy and process why this is happening again. Okay? And I feel like therapy is like my oil change. I'll go like for a few weeks straight, and then I feel like I'm good, and then I need to go back. And so that's another thing I love about BetterHelp is I can pick off where I left off with the same therapist if need be, or if I wanted to switch it up, I could. But thank you for them sponsoring this episode. You can definitely get your it's 10% off your first month of therapy. Now, there are scholarships and things if you have hardships and need help paying for it. So definitely reach out to betterhelp.com/crewlove. That's betterhelp.com/crewlove. Listen, you might think you don't have the money, but you got money to do everything else. I highly suggest you spend your money effectively. And this would be a $1 million decision. I'm reading another book currently, and it's really breaking down $1 million decisions and poor decisions. And getting therapy is definitely a $1 million decision. That's an investment into yourself that money cannot buy. Okay? So that's your check before we get into the first segment of the show. Who gonna check me, boo? God is. He is always checking us because we deserve and welcome a good chizek. You understand me? Listen, this who gonna check me, boo, y'all. Ooh, woo, 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 woo. This came from a sermon preached by Pastor Sarah Jacob Roberts. It was the New Year's Day sermon. Baby, oh, she preached this thing, okay? She was speaking to my soul, my spirit, and I felt like y'all need to go and listen. So click the link to watch the full sermon. And it was called The Invitation of Mastery. And this is where my New Year's resonating with me. And this message just hit so much. And there's a part of this message is for both. The person who's not sure of where they're going and need to plant a seed, and the person who's planted the seed and waiting for the sprout. I'm the person who last year I planted the seed. Now this year I'm ready for that motherfreaker to sprout. Okay. So I literally took 3 pages of notes from this sermon by sitting and watching it, and it had a bucket of happy tears. This is one of those sermons that I don't recommend just listening to while you're driving. This is one of those sermons you really need to sit down, take out your pen and paper, and pay attention. Okay? There's so many nuggets. I literally was pausing and playing all at the same time and taking notes and crying and walking around and shouting God down for what he's about to do in my life, okay? So no matter what stage you are in your walk with God, or if you have no walk at all with God, this message will affect you, okay? Hands down. And the scriptures she covered was John chapter 14, verses 25 through 31. The one that checked me the most was John 14:26. It said, "But the advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said to you." Before he came, he knew he was leaving. Listen, the Holy Spirit has revealed things to me that I probably forgot, and they're all coming right back up. And that's where this message hit for me. Pastor Sarah said, if we're intentional enough to listen, there is always a clue for what we're standing in now. Okay? And it's so funny because when I was younger, I always got in trouble for talking. And it just so happened I'm on a podcast. And I always love reading. And just so happened I just wasn't reading the right books, but now I am. Not that I was reading the wrong books, but I was into crime and mystery, but it was preparing me to where I am now. So listen closely and follow those clues. Okay, and then she gave 6 strategies of mastery. And the 6 strategies was: 1, a master knows when to tap in and when they want to tap out. So it's kind of like, you might not want to be doing something at a time, but as a mastery, you're going to continue to do it because you're focused on being consistent. Because it's not about the motivation anymore. And that's part of one of my affirmations. I say, I wake up motivated to be consistent. Okay? I know when I need to tap in, even when I don't want to. Okay? Another master, she says, a master knows when to ask and to receive help. And this is where I have to master receiving the help. Because in asking, because it's tough for me. I'm getting better at it, but I need to master it. And then the third one was, a master has peace in the struggle. Let me tell y'all something. When she was talking about this part, I was just like, yeah, because there was times where I would get a rise from the struggle of it all and get anxious and anxiety. But I realized she was preaching a message. The anxiety always don't have nothing to do with the fear of. It's the, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess this up. She talked about the 4th master. The master chooses to rejoice over rejection. I don't know how many no's you've had in your life, but I've had a lot. A lot of no's. I was in a modeling industry before and had a lot of no's. I'm pretty sure in this industry, I'll probably get a lot of no's from signing the podcast to a network, or just even as a realtor, I get a lot of no's. People don't want to work with me. But I realized I needed to find rejoice over rejection. Oh my goodness, y'all. This message, I'm going to go watch it again. Okay. The 5th one was, a master knows what's in him is more dangerous than what's on the outside of them. Ooh, woo, woo. When she was touching on this, it really hit, because the devil can't get you. He's a facade. And what's inside of you is way more important than what's going on the outside of you. Okay? That was a whole message. Like, each one of these points, y'all, she really broke it down. I'm just giving you the tidbits, okay? So you need to go back and listen. You hear me? Number 6 was, a master doesn't have a message. A master is the message. Woo, let me tell y'all. I constantly have to tell people, what you're going through is not about you. And I've had to accept that. And it's so funny because it's not even funny. It's amazing because I went to lunch with the person that I'm cultivating a friendship with. And she was going through some of the similar things that I've gone through. And I was just like, oh my goodness, it's like, I'm going through this to help you. And that was just so confirming, because she's talking to me like, oh my gosh, you're making it through. And I'm like, yes. So you can do this too. You can do this too. I'm just Sade, making it work, finding peace in the struggle, trusting God during the rejection. And I am here to help you. And it was just so amazing. Like, the things that I'm going through is to be a message for somebody else. To show them, like, look what she went through. Depression, anxiety, on the verge of divorce. I don't know how many times. Issues with my oldest daughter, father. Like, there's so many issues with family, my mother. Like, there's so many. I want to write a book. I mean, the things that go on in my mind, the things that I tell myself, the what ifs, the regrets, the constant, am I doing enough? There's so much stuff that I've gone through that I've accepted wasn't about me. It was purposely to build my character where I'm at, to be a message to you that you can get through it too. And also coming from a space of being the first in my family to be doing what I'm doing. And after just all of the mess that I've told myself and spoke to myself, it's all part of the building to be able to do what I'm doing now to help other people. And so that message was just hitting all aspects and all points. And if it wasn't something that you heard me say, I can guarantee you that if you go and listen to this message yourself, you are going to have a moment. There's something in that message for you. So I'm encouraging you to go and listen to the message by Pastor Sarah Jake Roberts titled An Invitation of Mastery. You can click it in the show notes, okay? You will not be disappointed in this message. It will completely check you, confirm you, encourage you to be the mastery. All right? Okay. So, and what better partnership than to be with God, the master? Okay? Whew, whole word. Oh, that was so good. So that was a Who Gon Check Me Boo segment. Like y'all, when I get off recording, I'm literally going to go watch the message, listen to the message again, because I'm pretty sure there's more nuggets that I can get out of that. Okay? All right. Then one of the messages you saved, y'all, and go back and watch. All right. So let's get into... My allergies always act up when I get ready to record. Anywho, I think it's this room. It's stuffy. Maybe I need to pull all the carpet up. Anyway, besides the point. All right, let's get into our book, The One Thing. Yes, The One Thing, The Surprisingly Simple Truth Behind Extraordinary Results by Gary Keller. This is more than just a real estate book. This is a book that can be applied to life in general. That's one thing I love about the book. It was a #1 Wall Street Journal bestseller, so that says a lot. And I love how it's relatable, it's a quick read, easy read, it's digestible, it's fun, it's educational, it's all of those things, okay? And remember, you know, you can get this on Audible as well. We have a partnership with them. But before we even go into all of that, I just want to hop into the book because there's so much juice that I want to get into, okay? So we're going to get into chapter 3 on page 17. Yeah, page 17. Chapter 3, Success Leaves Clues. Oh. Y'all, I did not plan this. You know, it's just confirmation. It aligns what we just discussed in Who Gon Check Me Boo segment. When Pastor Sarah said, if we're intentional enough to listen, there is always a clue for where we're standing in right now. And look at here, chapter 3, Success Leaves Clues. I did not plan this. I did not. I didn't realize how I was doing the outline that this aligned with what we were talking about. And see, this is just confirmation, y'all. Literally, the first sentence of the book says, proof of the one thing is everywhere. Look closely and you'll always find it. Your destiny and your destination or what you should be doing, your purpose and all that it's already there. You just have to unpack it. It's already in you. You just need to bring it out and work on it, okay? And it's not going to be as big because it's going to start off as a seed. And so you have to cultivate the seed for it to grow, okay? So it's not going to look like what you want it to look like right now because you got to work it, all right? All right. If it's worth it, you're going to work it, okay? All right, let me say focus. So anywho, also on page 17, the intro, it starts off with one product, one service. Extraordinary successful companies always have one product or service they're most known for or that makes them the most money. Okay, so there's always one thing. You know, think about Apple, okay? Apple is a study in creating an environment where extraordinary one thing can exist while transitioning another extraordinary one thing. From 1998 to 2012, Apple's one thing moved from Macs to iMacs to iTunes to iPods to iPhones, with the iPad already is a pole position at the head of the product line. As each new golden gadget entered the limelight, the other products were discontinued or regulated to the discount table. That just shows you it could be one thing now that can lead to another thing that could lead to one thing. It doesn't, this focusing on one thing doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to do other things. It's just cultivating the one thing to produce the next thing to have extraordinary results. Like when we think of Popeyes, they're known for chicken, but we also like their biscuits or their chicken sandwich. It just keeps growing, but you have to start off with the one thing. You get what I'm saying? You feel me? You feel me? Okay. So also on page 19, it says, when you get the one thing, you begin to see the business world differently. If today your company doesn't know what its one thing is, then the company's one thing is to find out. So honey, if you're not sure what your one thing is, that's your thing. You got to find out what's the one thing. I was just having a consultation with someone with real estate, and they wanted to buy a building. And I was like, well, why do you want to buy the building? Oh, well, I think I'm going to use it for this, or I think I'm going to use it for that. I'm like, well, if you're not sure what you want to use it for, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Because what's the point of getting the building if you don't know how you're going to use it, and then you have money going to something that's not being used properly, and now you're just wasting money? And then what's going to happen is you're going to get discouraged and say it didn't work, but you didn't do the proper one thing to get there. Okay? See, that's why you got to come to the masterminds. That's why you got to come check for your girl. Okay? You want some one-on-one? DM me and we can talk about how much that costs. To get that, because this is how we need to break the things down. Okay, y'all gotta break it down to the one thing. All right, y'all be wanting to go from A to Z and don't do the work in between. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. You can't do it that way. All right, you gotta have the one thing in place to cultivate the other things. All right, or you'll just be floating out here giving up because you didn't take the proper steps. You didn't take the proper process. Okay? All right, on page 18, it reads here. Oh, I'm sorry. There it is. We did that. Page 19. I did that too. See, I got distracted talking to y'all. All right. All right, page 20. I really wanted to touch on this too, because there's one passion and one skill, it says here. And this is where we often get that line blurry. That's because there's almost always connected one skill and one passion. All right? Passion for something leads to the disappropriated time practicing or working at it. That time spent eventually translates to the skill, and when skill improves, results improve. Better results generally lead to more enjoyment, more passion, and more time is invested. It can be a virtuous cycle all the way to extraordinary results. I hope you caught that. I hope you caught that. Because a lot of times we can have a passion for something, but don't cultivate the skill, and then we end up giving up saying that it wasn't what it was supposed to be because we didn't do the work. We didn't put in enough practice. That also goes back to the message of who gonna check me, the mastery of it all. Okay? I think they say you have to do something for like 10,000 hours before you become the mastery of it, but y'all be giving up by day 5. Let's talk about it. Oh, and this also made me think, I don't know if y'all listen to R&B podcast with Tank. Well, he mentioned like when he first started, he couldn't hold, he wasn't hitting the right notes. He wasn't the best singer. He was getting kicked off stage at church from singing because he wasn't doing it right. But you know what he did? He kept going and he kept practicing. And now he's known for not missing the notes. Okay? So before you just, this is why it's so important to like really make sure you work it before you quit something, and go back and evaluate where you're dropping the ball, okay? And get rid of your expectation of how it should look, and then be doing what you, I'm trying to make sure I'm saying this right. if you have to pivot your expectations because it's not going how you thought it was going to go, pay attention to the steps that you're taking. Are you trying to skip steps, sis? Are you taking the proper steps before you give up? And I'm saying that because I did it. I was trying to go around doing other things to avoid and take the shortcut, when actuality, it wasn't that I needed to take the shortcut. I just needed to be patient, go back to the drawing board, rewrite how I was doing things, and pivot. Okay? And a lot of times, we instead of pivoting, we want to quit. And that's not how we should be doing it. All right? So, before you quit and have this cycle of quitting, let's focus on improving the skills so that way we can get improved results. All right? All right. So that was chapter 3, Success Leaves Clues. I know that was a lot. It was a lot. So I understand if you need to go back and re-listen, or how about you just get the book and read it yourself. But it's a lot. All right? So let's look at part 1. And the book breaks it down in parts. There's a part 1 and a part 2. In the first part, it talks about the lies. They mislead and derail us. And it's just a separate section before we get into the next chapters that they talk about what that looks like. And it talks about the trouble with truthness. Truthness, a word comedian Stephen Colbert coined as truth that comes from the gut, not books. Truthness captures all the incidental, accidental, and even intentional falsehoods that sound just truthy enough for us to accept as truth. That sounds like social media, child. We won't be doing no research. Oh, that sounds right. So we end up going with it. And it says here on page 29, the problem is we tend to act on what we believe even when we believe it isn't anything we should. As a result, buying into the one thing becomes difficult because we've unfortunately brought it to too many others. And more often than not, those other things muddle our thinking, misguide our actions, and sidetrack our success. Life is too short to chase unicorns. Ooh, we be so blissful and think everything's supposed to be unicorns and daisies instead of doing the work. And it says here, over time, myths and mistruths get thrown around so often they eventually feel familiar and start to sound like the truth. You remember, for the liars, we all lied at one point. Even as a kid, I remember lying about stuff that I didn't have to lie about. And I ended up lying so much that it started to be this truth in my head. Like, I really thought I was from New York. I had this lie. I hated being from Jacksonville so much that I love the up north, like New York culture, from Biggie to Jay to Little Kim. Like, I wanted to be bad boy for life. Like, I swore, I can even give you New York. Like, I swore I was from New York. I had the accent. I even researched it. I used to tell people I was from Flatbush, New York. I dated this guy named Sean. I had a whole accent. I had a guy that I dated in high school, and I used to use this accent called Derek. Like, it was just redonkulous what I used to lie. But I started to believe it. I dressed like a New Yorker. I wore a temp. I was just in my mind. But anywho, that's a little, yes, girl was a whole actress. Just lying. But anywho, then we start basing important decisions on them. And I was like, oh, I'm going to move back to New York. That's a whole story. I ain't even going to get into that. Back to the book, page 30. The challenge we all face when forming our success strategies is that just like tales of frogs, fish, explorers, and jockeys, success has its own lies too. I just have too much that has to be done. I'll get more done by doing things at the same time. I need to be a more disciplined person. I should be able to do what and whenever I want. I need more balance in my life. Maybe I shouldn't dream so big. Repeat these thoughts often enough and they become the 6 lies about success that keeps us living the one thing. Okay? So, the 6 lies between you and success is 1, everything matters equally. 2, multitasking. 3, a disciplined life. 4, willpower is always on will call. And 5, a balanced life. And 6, big is bad. The lies, the lies, the lies, the lies. The 6 lies are beliefs that get into our heads and become operational principles, driving us the wrong way. Ooh, fool's gold that diverts us from the mother lode. If we're going to maximize our potential, we're going to have to make sure we put these lies to bed. And that's what we're going to get into with chapters 4 through 9. Each of those titles are broken down in part 1 of the book. And next week, we're going to get in chapter 4, everything matters equally, and chapter 2, multitasking, and how those are lies to us, okay? And if you click the show notes to get the book, you can follow along because we're going to start those chapters next week. Or you can also order it on Audible. And thanks to Audible, we have a partnership where you can get 30 days of your free premium experience. And this book is on Audible for you to listen and follow along. But I really think you're going to really enjoy the fact that everything doesn't matter, okay? And everything that matters isn't equal. And multitasking is not always great, okay? You need to pick one thing and focus on that one thing to get it done and then get something else. Oh, it's going to be good. So definitely y'all need to come back and tune in so we can unpack the lies that we have been telling ourselves about these things, okay? All right, so let's get into the challenge of the week. The challenge of the week is to buy the book and start reading it, okay? Or getting it on Audible. Now, but for real though, I'm serious. Now, listen to this though. The real challenge of this week was inspired by section 1, by a section in chapter 3 called One Person. And it's on page 19. And I chose this because I feel like we all have one person that has inspired us into the direction that we want to go. And I want you to pick that person. Who would be your mentor? Who would be your mentor? Because if you have that person in mind, they can be a guide to lead you on the path to keep you in check. You know what I'm saying? For example, mine is Oprah and Leonard McKelvey, aka Charlamagne the God. If I could take Oprah, like as a boss woman, black woman, what she went through and where she at now, but also take the way that Charlamagne infiltrated the system and how he is today, even within podcasting, and look at what he's doing. I want to take those two people are like my guide, Oprah and Leonard McKelvey. Okay, like those are the two people that I would have that have inspired me. Like if I could have mentorship, those would be the people that I would be mentored. Who is your one person or persons? They talked about in the book how Walt Disney had someone, his brother Roy, which was a businessman, banker. And then Sam Walton of LS, early on was LS Robinson, who loaned him $20,000. Brand Franklin franchise store when Sam was opening up his first Walmart. Robinson paid the landlord $20,000. Albert Einstein had Max Tillman. Oprah had her, Oprah credits her father at the time he spent with him and his wife for saving her. Yeah, and also her lawyer, Jeffrey D. Jacobs, persuaded her to establish her own company rather than simply be a talent for hire, which produced Harpo Productions. So there's everybody has someone. And there's a quote at the book that says, everyone has one person who either means the most to them or was the first to influence, train, or manage them. And so who is your person? So I want you to think of that challenge of the week. And then pick that person, read about that person, follow their person, look at their stages and how you can apply that to your life and let that be a guide. All right, so that's your challenge of the week there. Last week, I hope you chose your one thing. If you still haven't chose your one thing, that needs to be your challenge. Your challenge should be figuring out your one thing, so then that way you can build on that. All right? Especially if you have certain goals for 2023. Let's figure that out so we can break those down and build on it. All right? So let's get into what would the crew do? Hey, you can email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com or DM on Instagram at the Crew Book Club and ask your questions, and I can answer them right here on the pod. All right. So this one was DM'd to me, and it was a response to I'm posting my journey of 75 hard, my third time around, and literally 3 people have reached out to me and have started. So kudos to you guys. And the lady that I met 2 other ladies that I get my protein shakes from. They started. So kudos to them too for starting their journey on 75 hard. So let me read this to you. She says, so much to do in so little time. I have 2 children and pregnant with another. And I feel like there's always things to do for everyone else except me. I see you have 2 girls and you mentioned you were married. How do you balance and do it all? Like, how do you choose what to do and what not to do? On top of that, you are doing the 75-day challenge I see on Instagram. Where do you find the time? Girl. It's not even finding time. It's just choosing what I want to do. I choose what I want to do before I put, I don't know, a lot of y'all, this is maybe unorthodox, but I choose me before I choose others. It's simple like that. Because if I don't choose me, I'm going to have resentment, and I'm not going to want to, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be put on a fake smile. And my anxiety don't do well with that. I get very antsy and annoyed when certain things are not done a certain way, which can be of a fault in certain perspectives. But when it comes to like 75 hard, I'm doing those things regardless. Because if I don't do those, then I'm lacking the commitment that I made to myself. And when I'm good, everybody else is good. You can ask my husband, you can ask my children. When mommy has worked out and read her book and stuck to her diet, not even diet, her lifestyle, and I have chosen to put my things as priority, everybody else is happy. Okay? And I'm not walking around with a face because I haven't done the things that satisfy me. This podcast satisfy me. Oh, that's going to get done. So the things that I really care about, and I do spend time with my kids. I do spend time with my husband when need be. Like Christmas break, I really put a lot to the side that I wanted to be on top of. And I realized everything was okay. But I'm also a person who's willing to wake up and sacrifice to get up early to do those things so I can be attentive. You guys have to choose what you want to do. A lot of time, and this was me. I used to wake up, watch TV, do things that really wasn't cultivating the life that I wanted. And I had to let my child know, like, hey, I need to do these things. Like the other day, I didn't eat as much as I wanted to for 75 hard. And her dad and her had ate or whatnot. And I had got home and I didn't want to have to cook. So I made me some eggs and some breakfast meat. And she came down and put her little fingers on my breakfast meat. And I said, put it back. I said, this is mine. I give enough to you during the day. Leave my food alone. And this is my food. You wasn't even thinking about food until I came down here and got it. And some of y'all might be like, oh, that's harsh. But no, one, I need to set boundaries with her to let her know that her 9-year-old behind does not dictate and control the situation. I do. And a lot of y'all give y'all kids and y'all people so much power over your life that you don't have the boundaries set in place for them to check themselves. Okay? And she looked at me and I told her, I said, I love you. Me telling you and setting this boundary doesn't mean I don't love you. These are just my things. Also, no, you're not sleeping with me tonight. You get one night to sleep with me and that's going to end. Sue. But also, you can't give kids or people privilege to you if they're not doing what you've asked them to do when it comes to setting your boundaries. This sounds like you need to set boundaries with people. My kids know not to bother me when I'm working out or reading my book. No. Unless you about to die, don't bother me. Like, you guys, my husband, oh, this is a time slot for this is a time slot for that. And you have to be okay with telling people, no, I'm not doing that right now. Because it's worse to do things and not really want to do them. And you got to tell people, you got to communicate, and you can't care so much about hurting feelings. Of course, you want to say it nicely, but you have to communicate with people or they will continue to run over you and they will continue to cross your boundaries. And at one point, my husband said, well, you shouldn't have boundaries with me. I'm your husband. No. You're the main person I need to have boundaries with. If I can't set boundaries with people in my household, what makes you think I'm going to be able to set boundaries with everybody else? And I had to set boundaries with myself. And that's what 75 Hard is, a commitment to me. And if I can commit to me, then I can easily help myself commit to other people. So yeah, it's just, I'm selfish. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Now, I am happy. And with me being happy makes everybody else happy around me. And I'm able to pour in other people's cup because my cup is filled first. All right? So evaluate your boundaries and start to set those boundaries within your household so that way you can have time for yourself. All right? So that's my advice for today. If you think different, feel free to share. I love hearing everyone's opinions. Don't mean I'm going to take them, but I love your engagement. All right? So email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com, ask advice, or DM like this person did. And let me know how it goes for you. I highly challenge you to try 75 Hard. And let me tell you, that's going to be something that's going to help you set some boundaries, y'all. All right? So before we end this episode, this was so good. I feel like I touched and talked about so much. I hope you got some gems. Please share the episode with someone you love that will benefit from this. Like I always say in the outro, there's no point of getting all this gem and leaving your friends or your people behind. Like, take your people with you. Do your part. Share the information. If they don't catch the sauce, girl, keep it P and know that you did your part. Okay? Let's end this episode with the quote of the week. The quote of the week comes from the book, The One Thing, on page 24. It says, "The one thing sits at the heart of success, and it is the starting point for achieving extraordinary results." Crew, I need you to go out, find your one thing, stick to that one thing, and kill it. All right? And remember, if nobody else told you, you the ish. Hey.